Next on deck with Tim Black.
Right, okay, good. Right, okay, good.
Right, because we've had so much privilege, right? Because we've had so much privilege, right?
Because we've had so much privilege, right?
Like, to the north and the south of us, we have...
Who the f*** is she talking about? I mean, who is she talking to? We have so much privilege. You sawed-off little runts. Who the f*** are you talking about? I know you're not talking to Black America. Talk about we got too much privilege.
How's it going? That's kind of an existential question, but like in a literal sense, you're in the middle of everything. We only get to watch from the outside. You're on the inside. How's it going?
It's not going well.
Yeah, say more about that.
Yeah, and I think that, first of all, let me thank everyone that's here. The reason that I do the work that I do is because of you. And I try to do everything that I can to make sure that I'm continuously focused on the people that are back home.
Yeah, I thought you did what you did because you got the money from Sam Bankman-Fried, like millions of dollars to run a race. And, you know, you came out of the Senate there in Texas and you hadn't accomplished anything. You hadn't done any real legislation or anything. You hadn't done anything. Democrats picked you because they figured they could get you to sister girl it up. And that's what you've been doing. But, you know, that's just my opinion. Let's keep going.
The people that are relying on me to be an authentic and unwielding voice for them. And so I just want to say thank you again to each of you. I am going to say that it's really bad because not only are we enduring something we've never experienced before, as we came up on the State of the Union address, we started to look through history and figure out, what does one do when a dictator is coming through?
Because I guess she's talking about acting unilaterally without the use of Congress. And as you can see, Obama was not only the deporter-in-chief, he was the executive orderer-in-chief. And Trump did a lot of executive orders himself in his first term. And then there goes Biden with his executive orders in his 4 years, which you can see wasn't that big a difference between how many Biden did and how many Trump did, right? And then there goes Trump now. That's where he is currently. You see, it's not like he's done, 300 or 400 executive orders. She's gaslighting the very fact that Trump is constantly attacked, investigated, and scrutinized by media, political opponents, and even members of his own party. It contradicts the notion that he's a dictator, because a dictator would silence. He would silence his detractors and get rid of them. He silences opposition, not get dragged through endless legal battles by the opposition. So I'm trying to understand, dictators do dictator shit. A wife beater beats his wife. A husband beater beats her husband. A serial cheater cheats, right? Well, a dictator does some dictating. And I'm looking here, if you mean using executive orders, a lot of presidents do that and they just saw that. So I'd like to know what the dictator thing he's doing.
What does one do when a dictator is coming through? We were trying to figure out what are the options. And it is true that we are in a time that we've never seen before. We have someone that does not believe in co-equal branches of government. And then we have people that are party to those other co-equal branches that have decided that they would cede their constitutional oaths.
The idea that Trump doesn't know how to exist in a co-equal branches of government is coming from a Democrat when Biden was repeatedly using executive orders to bypass Congress. Folks, how many of you remember the student loan forgiveness program? How many people remember that? Biden tried to do that. Guess what? He didn't go through Congress. And she didn't call him a dictator for it. Okay, what about the vaccine mandates? That was an executive order by Biden. Did she call him a dictator? Nothing's more dictatorial than mandating that people get vaccines and not truly have an idea what the effects of that vaccine would be because it's a new vaccine. But she didn't call him a dictator. No Hitler here. Biden weaponized, used the Department of Justice to go after his political enemies, i.e. Trump. That's what he did. He did that. So Trump was repeatedly blocked by the courts. Repeatedly. He just got blocked again. Some of his cuts on EPA, some of his cuts on the Board of Education just got blocked. So if he was a dictator, wouldn't he just do it anyway? But nah, that's showing the courts are working. Like, look, I'm with justice. I'm with the reality. Like, if the courts block it, it's blocked. Now, if he continues, if he goes, F them courts, I don't got to listen to the court. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I got my military to get behind me and to mold down anybody in my way, that would be dictating. That would be a dictator. Writing the executive order you don't like is not being a dictator. That's just doing what presidents do. And when Democrats do it, Republicans complain. And when Republicans do it, Democrats complain. But for some reason, when the Democrats do it, the media doesn't complain. They only complain when Trump does it.
Responsibilities to kneel to, I don't even know if it's Trump, right? Like it feels as if Elon is really like running everything and Trump is just hanging out, signing whatever executive order somebody puts in front of him. And when he's not doing that, he's just posted up in Mar-a-Lago.
This is baseless and unserious. This is just talking points by the Democratic Party. Musk is a private businessman. He is not an elected official. The claim that he's somehow controlling Trump's administration is conspiracy level nonsense. This is the type of thing that when Republicans used to say it like shadow government, the Democrats would deny it and call him kooky. This is what the whole, QAnon stuff was about. When people make unfounded claims and have strange feelings, got a funny feeling that this is happening, but don't have any data to back it up. Yeah, Democrats mock Republicans for doing that. But for some reason, Democrats get to do it. They get to come up here, and because they got a captivated audience that have been told that Trump is the boogeyman, they believe it. There is no evidence to back it up that Elon is running anything. That's just what she says, and it's goofy. The president is the most powerful person in the country, and anything Elon is doing, Trump is allowing him to do. And whenever Trump decides he can no longer do that, he will no longer do that. The same thing works, such as you when you were out there campaigning for Kamala Harris, Jasmine Crockett, and she told you what to do and what to say. Her people told you how to surrogate for her, didn't they? Right? And then when it was over, you signed an NDA to keep your mouth shut and go sit down. And that's the same thing I imagine Trump's going to do with Elon. Same difference.
Playing golf,
Yeah.
right? And so Elon hasn't seen all the waste because we've, spent a whopping more than $10 million already on Trump and golfing in Mar-a-Lago. I'm sure there's a few things we could do with that $10 million.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know why you worried about money all of a sudden. You said that American citizens couldn't do anything with $5,000 for themselves, but now you're concerned about $10 million in the government's money? Seems a little bit contradictory, a little bit hypocritical. What happened to, I'm genuinely fighting for the people? What happened with what you just said? Something like, what was it? I do this for the people. That's the whole reason I get up every day and fight for the people. That's what that was? Somehow you forget all those lavish vacations Obama took. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, he just left office in 2016. You are too young to have dementia. Unlike Biden. Unlike Biden, who was checked out mentally, if not physically checked out. He was mentally checked out for 90% of his damn term. Only a Democrat shield would actually get up here and make claims about somebody not doing their damn job when they just had Biden in office who couldn't do his job. Now everybody knows he was diminished. He was incompetent. Now it's all coming out. And they didn't say anything. Did Jasmine Crockett complain about the pearl of having a presidentless country? A shadow government, people running the government who no one knew, who weren't elected? So the Democrats, I keep telling people, the Democrats accuse other people of doing what they've already done. They're accusing Trump and the Republicans of running the government via Musk. They're only doing that because they just got through running the government via Ron Klain which is an advisor to Joe Biden. I think he was also his office, whatever that person is. I forget the name of it. But he's a longtime worker, friend of Joe Biden, and other people that handled Joe Biden, who are making the decisions for him on a daily basis. Michelle Obama's $500,000 taxpayer-funded trip to Spain, or Joe Biden's frequent getaways to the Delaware Beach House. If the concern is wasteful spending, let's look at the billions being sent to Ukraine, rather than a fraction of that on presidential leisure time. So when he plays golf, we know where he is. Where was Biden? He was in his basement for like 3 or 4 months. Where the hell was Kamala when she was running for office? Ducking cameras, ducking interviews. I mean, the whole Democratic Party's been absentee. These are parents who need CPS called on them because they are nowhere near where they need to be taking care of their responsibilities. They're bad stewards of our government, been horrible stewards of our government. And now they want to come complain? Please, Johnson.
They would be more productive. And what's most concerning to me, and it's why I'm so happy that I'm specifically here with this platform, is that there is not only an attack on us as Americans, and when I say us, it's not Democrats. I specifically say us as Americans because there were those that really thought that Donald Trump was going to make their lives better. And they went out and voted for him because of that, right? But right now they're like, well, wait a minute, veterans are being fired. And, you know, what's going to happen to the VA? Because they're talking about they want to get rid of 80,000 jobs at the VA. And if you know anything about the VA, people have been telling us more and more is needed, not less.
Less.
Right?
You know, there's no evidence that the VA cuts would be indiscriminately firing layoffs of essential personnel. In fact, under Trump's first term, veterans saw improvements in care through increased private sector options and reforms in the VA bureaucracy. That's something that was an agenda item for Trump in his first term. Now you're going to say he's going to reverse all of that and then do things intentionally to damage the VA? That doesn't make sense. But you know, you don't have to make sense. If she's truly concerned about the VA, where was his energy when Democrats prioritized aid to illegal immigrants over veterans? I mean, and actually, that's something I could bring up on everything she opens her mouth about, because she says she's fighting for the people and keeping it authentic. She's keeping it real, an authentic voice. Yeah, because the criticism of your fakeness and your cosplaying are starting to get to you. Jasmine Crockett is almost 45 years old. Stop acting like she's a child who can't defend herself. She's a lawyer and a congressperson. And she can take this heat.
And that's not good for anyone.
You think that the economy is, I mean, there have been signs that people are becoming concerned about the state of the economy. We'll come back to the people who voted for this and what they think about this in a second, but you're worried about the economy.
Oh, I absolutely am.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to be this way. And I understood that we went through hyperinflation as it relates to COVID-19. Like literally, it's like, wait a minute, one day we're paying this and then it ballooned. But then that inflation started to slow, right? And then, you know, we had an administration that was looking into the greed. We even had an admission from Kroger that they were price gouging, right? They were taking advantage. And so, you know, instead of having an administration that's looking into price gouging, we have an administration that, you know, when we were getting rid of junk fees or when we were getting...
Okay, guys, look. This is misleading. It's a straight up lie. Inflation wasn't caused by price gouging. It was fueled by reckless overspending by Joe Biden. That's it. He spent us into inflation. He spent money like on those electric charge stations that I don't even know anybody with an electric car. He put those charge stations everywhere. That was money. Lots of money. Excessive stimulus packages. Take the hit. That's what it was. Yeah, I know. Wasn't for the COVID. You wouldn't have had to do it. But you don't give Trump any grace on that. He was a president. The economy was doing well. And then boom, then came COVID. She doesn't give Trump grace on that. So why should we give Biden grace on that? Blaming companies instead of acknowledging bad policy decisions of Biden is the Democratic Party way.
Yeah, let me come back to the point you made. So we had an election. We believe the election was conducted fairly, unlike some have alleged previous elections.
Unless and until, I'm here in the audience, unless and until I have evidence otherwise. Yes.
Yes, right, okay. Right.
I am still data-driven. I'm a data-driven person.
This will be a different conversation if we're going to go down that path. Okay,
Yes.
so we assume that the election was conducted fairly, and the president won not just the Electoral College, but he won by a significant margin. The popular vote. Didn't get to 50%, but he won the popular vote by several million. The point is, people voted for him.
Yes.
The question is whether people voted for this.
Yes.
So then what do we think about how the people who voted for him are viewing the moment we're in?
I think that there's a lot of regret. I think that the sycophants, there's nothing that you can say about them. Like there is a real cult that is taking place, and they follow their leader and they believe whatever he says, and they're just going to get in line. And then there are those.
You know, that is so disrespectful, dismissing Trump supporters. It's a cult. As if being a Democrat is not a cult. As if the ass kissing that you're doing is not a cult, like activity. To accuse, Republicans of MAGA voters as being cult-like or lazy is insulting. It's pointless. Look, millions of Americans, particularly working class black men, voted for Trump based on policies. What about the record number of black voters and about the Latino voters and the young voters? They're all in a cult? Or maybe they didn't like the candidate that you supported, that you campaigned for, that you surrogated for, Kamala Harris. Who's this guy interviewing her? Why can he have any of these points? I mean, that took time to write some notes, but I mean, this guy should know that. It's no pushback, no rebuttal, no follow-up, nothing. Just say whatever you want to say and just keep it moving to the next opportunity for her to give a speech. There are people that voted for Trump this time who didn't vote for him last time. So now they become cult-like? They become sycophants now? That's what it is? They take a few people that are getting deported that for whatever reason, after being here several years, did not get their paperwork straight. And I do understand there's problems with the immigration system. But that doesn't mean everybody regrets their vote. Unless you're cherry picking and you don't see people that are actually happy with what Trump is doing, because he's doing things that he ran on doing. Democrat voters, I would say they're living in a cult. They continue to vote for a party that continues to fail them at every turn, and they keep doing it. I started this program talking about black Democrats voting exclusively, 90% plus for the Democrats every election, no matter who it is. And since 1970, we have moved exactly 3% in home ownership. That's it. And you don't care, you never talk about it. It never crosses your lips, but you're fighting for us. Not.
Those that are like, well, wait a minute. Like, why is it that I don't have health care? But the billionaires are still having like multi-million-dollar weddings? Like, why is it that I'm not going to be able to go to college, or my kid isn't going to be able to go to college, or I'm not going to be able to eat because they're getting...
Man, these problems have existed in our country forever. You know what I'm saying? She's making this like it's a Trump issue. Trump been in office 2 months. I want. Now, Jasmine has never championed for universal health care. And if she did, correct me, because I never seen her talk about it. Her talk about a lot of stuff. People can kiss her butt, and this person's a hoe, and all other colorful language. But I never really heard her champion for any of these things she's talking about. At least AOC has brought them up before. What is she even talking about?
Like, wait a minute. What is the point of this? Like, what is happening?
But of course, these are effects, Congresswoman. These are things that may be felt, may happen as a consequence of. I mean, he's only been in the White House for a couple months, as we sit here. I mean, really, in the end.
Biden was in office and those things didn't happen, so why weren't you complaining? I just want people to always remember this is this partisan bullshit. Because everything she's complaining about was happening for 4 years under Biden. It's not like our economy was going well under Biden, and then all of a sudden in 2 months or 45, 50 days, it tanked and all our economies, people are in food lines, you know what I'm saying, trying to get a meal because they can't afford to buy food. Nah. We got businesses that didn't rebound from the COVID pandemic shutdowns. And that was going on under Biden. And I didn't see Crockett coming out here talking about it. These people that support Crockett, man, I don't understand what you're hearing and why you like it. You just like it's a brown person talking. Well, you know what? I'm a brown person. But I'm coming to you with data and facts. Where's her numbers?
And the oldest saw in the world is true. Elections have consequences.
Yes.
Good consequences and bad. And the country voted for Donald Trump. We'll see what the products of that decision
we are already seeing.
Yeah.
And they
Look, man, the Democratic Party has policies that fail working class people. That's why they lost the election. Jasmine Crockett still has not taken the smelling salts. She still doesn't understand why they lost. She's talking about things that she says Trump isn't doing that her party never did, which is focus on working class people. Obamacare raised healthcare rates. Student loan forgiveness only benefits a small percentage of people, while tuition keeps rising. I tell people all the time, they always, there are people that have been happily had their student loans forgiven or portions of them or what have you. I try to remind people that's only 10% of people that own student loans. 10%, okay? That's it. That's who Biden he did all that work. He got all that publicity for helping 1/10 of the people with student loans. 1/10. High taxes and regulations push businesses out, reducing opportunities to the middle class. Because most middle class people work at jobs. Trump's policies focus on job creation and economic mobility. When we get to immigration, I mean, come on. But Crockett's not going to fight that battle. At least he's pushing back a little bit. He's giving follow-up. And she's just playing to the crowd with little ad-libs of knocking Trump. I guess that's what she's good for.
are not good.
Yeah.
There's no one that is yelling and screaming that, oh, yes, we're so happy you fired all these people at the VA.
What do you think what do you think, stay with that and the role that Elon Musk is playing. What do you think is the goal here? I mean, it may seem obvious to you, it may seem obvious to some people watching this, but in the end, what are they working toward with everything that we've seen so far?
Making us Russia Junior.
This right here is pure gaslighting and bullshit. There is no evidence of this, nothing. She's got nothing, Johnson. It's like, I got a funny feeling if you step on that crack, you're going to break your mother's back. Remember that? Other superstitious, tales. If you die in your sleep, you die in real life. If you look in the mirror and say Candyman 3 times, it's over. What other bullshit does she believe in? Democrats have been screaming about Russia since 2016 when it was Biden that weakened us on the world stage when he botched Afghanistan. And Democrats don't want to talk about it nor touch it. She'll never bring it up. We left people and equipment. People and equipment that kicked ass and ran up out of there after devoting all that time and money and resources and human capital, which is lives. It emboldened China and allowed Ukraine to drain our resources. We could cure poverty with all the money we gave Ukraine. If anyone has made the U.S. look weak, it's the Democratic Party.
I mean, I don't really know what to say. I mean, because, one of the things that we benefit from as Americans is really our ignorance. And I'm going to say that with all love.
Back to her point of people didn't vote for Kamala because they're dumb. Yeah. Back to being an elitist Democrat. Is that because she sucked? Is that because it was a bad campaign? Is that because she tried to buy campaign votes by bringing in Hollywood celebrities and musicians and singers? No, it's because we're just too dumb to know how great she was. We need to read a civic book. We didn't take civics. That's where she's going. Because she's been there before. It's familiar ground for her.
right? Because we've had so much privilege, right? Like to the north and the south of us, we have.
Who the fuck is she talking about? I mean, who is she talking to? We have so much privilege. You sawed-off little runts. Who the fuck are you talking about? I know you're not talking to Black America. Talk about we got too much privilege. It's the same garbage she talked on the Karen Hunter show. Black people think they don't get anything from the Democrats, but I'm here to tell you, you do. You really do. That's not true. You get clean water and air.
The problem is that the United States government is consistently giving out money that is for the benefit of Black folk specifically. So I know as a member of the House, I have handed down so many checks, millions of dollars to my district.
Representative Jasmine Crockett represents Texas's 30th congressional district. Based on available data from sources like Data USA, which provides demographic information for congressional districts using 2022 estimates, the racial demographics of Congressional District 30 Texas are as follows. Hispanic or Latino, approximately 41.7% of the population. Black or African American, approximately 34.8% of the population, and white American are approximately 19.2% of the population. Representative Crockett has a split racial district, and Hispanic Americans are the largest group in her district.
On environmental injustice issues, right? Because we typically live in the areas where our air, our water, our soil is contaminated. Black folk are like, we're not getting anything. And it's just not true that you're not getting anything.
What an asshole.
Friends, or at least they used to be friends. I don't know how friendly they want to be with us nowadays, right? But like we've shared like a very friendly relationship, and in the East and the West, we've had water. And so we've not had to worry about having kind of hostile neighbors that are right there at the border and that kind of stuff. That is a privilege of living in this country. That cannot necessarily be said when you are living in certain parts of the Middle East or when you're living in Europe. Like you may have.
That's bad when you are being talked, when someone's asking you about things about the United States and you start talking about other countries to try to make us look better or make us look worse or some shit. Talk about running from the question. I mean, she's talking about, well, at least we're not the Middle East. You know why the Middle East is? Because we keep dropping bombs on it. And this guy is a spineless, empty suit because he won't say it. I don't know what his political affiliation is, but damn, what is she talking about? We're lucky to be in recession. We're lucky that 40% of Black businesses went out of business, not to come back. What about all the people that lost their jobs because of vaccine mandates that cost them their jobs? It's not as sexy as federal workers being laid off at the EPA or at the U.S. aid agency. But out of work is out of work, right?
Friends over here and then enemies right here. It's a lot different, okay? And so we've enjoyed that privilege. And right now to have...
She stopped saying privilege. What are you talking about? We enjoy that privilege. Jasmine Crockett needs to read a book.
Have someone that is literally picking fights with our friends for no reason. Like, why are we in a trade war? Like, what exactly happened? Like, who is this helping?
She's just ranting and talking mindlessly about nothing.
Like, it's just crazy. Like, why? I can tell you, though, that housing costs, if we continue to play this game with Canada, our housing costs are going to go up.
Housing costs are already high due to government mismanagement, mass illegal immigration, and poor economic planning. The real problem isn't tariffs, it's reckless government spending, high interest rates, and policies that make home ownership unaffordable. People been complaining about housing way before Trump. We've been covering homelessness. We're going to cover it more extensively later. And the numbers I'm going to use are from 2023, not 2025, because all the data isn't in up to today. So what's the reason for the housing problems up to this point? She's talking like everything's great. And then came Trump. And then fire rained from the sky. Literal babies started falling out of clouds. Dogs started flying and shooting darts out of their butts, killing squirrels indiscriminately. The earth opened up into one giant sinkhole. And then Trump rose. You know, this is just nonsense gaslighting BS to cloud the conversation. And it's not rooted in any facts. And this guy won't even stop her and be like, explain that shit. The housing crisis didn't exist until now. Oh, it's coming. No, housing crisis has been here, Goofy. And your president just brought in 10 to 15 million new Americans or new people to the country. Where they gonna be at? Where they gonna stay? And they're giving a priority over us, U.S. citizens, particularly black citizens, because for some reason they ended up in black cities. And now they get to compete against the most vulnerable black Americans. And Jasmine Crockett won't say a mumbling word about it. Why? Because she a Democrat. A rising tide lifts all boats. Need I remind you, 4% housing increase in 50 years. That's lower than immigrants coming from across the southern border.
Right. And that was one of the things that, you know, I think really got lost. I will say that we've allowed ourselves to be distracted. During that election, we got distracted. When I was traveling the country on behalf of VP Harris, I would hear people saying things like, well, the Democrats have emasculated us. And I was like, well, what exactly does that mean? Is it because it's a woman? Or, you know, I would hear some of them felt that way because there were all the conversations around reproductive rights. And I'm like, here's the deal. If she got in office and she decided that women should have bodily autonomy, great.
You know, if birds could drive cars, they would. Okay, she didn't get in office. Why are we having a dumb conversation about an election that's over and hypotheticals about what she would or wouldn't do? Okay, maybe if she would have had a message that anybody gave a damn about. Maybe if she made some appearances and impressed some people. Maybe if she didn't the border as borders are. Like, there's a lot of maybes. Those are just two. She's the worst polling VP since we started polling VPs. And all you can come up with is, we just didn't give her a chance. We didn't listen to her. She was going to be great. With what evidence do you have of this greatness that you speak of? I didn't see greatness. Did you hear greatness? What fact were you exposed to some Kamala greatness? Did I miss the greatness of Kamala? Was she just hiding it? Why was she so private with her greatness? She should have been flaunting how great she was going to be. She should have been demonstrating all her greatness. Kamala Harris, if she could hit high notes like Stephanie Mills, maybe she should have done that. Now you're telling me she can sing? She could sing like Mariah Carey? Denise Williams? Really? Black Butterfly? Really? Nah, she didn't sound like that at all. She sounded like she sounded like Milli Vanilli. She had no voice. And when she was asked if she would change anything, she said, I can't think of a thing. Nothing comes to mind. I mean, the political IQ of a dead snake, of roadkill, the political savvy of cream of wheat. She had the charisma of a decapitated squirrel. And you sit here in front of all of us pontificating about how great she would have been and then blaming us for not recognizing her greatness. Sit your ass down. And you're already sitting down.
I don't know how that makes you any less of a man. Like, I mean, I'm just like, what is happening, right? But you
are careening. Now look, first she said we're all too privileged. And now she blaming men. Then she pulled out all the greatest hits. All the greatest hits. Now it's because she's a woman. Now it's also because she sucked. You know? She sucked. But you got to go grab at everything. No one asked you about Kamala. Why are you even bringing this up? She's still paying you to lie to us, congressperson? Huh? We know you didn't surrogate for her for free. She's still paying you to lie. How much she pay you? Let me get this right. Rowland got $350,000. Al Sharpton got $500,000. How much she give you? Must have been nice. New face of the Democratic Party. More like the ass of the Democratic Party. A flat one.
We're seeping them kind of with this information. It's a woman and she's looking out for women's rights. Okay, but it doesn't mean that she's not looking out for anybody else. Like, and what we've got right now is a guy that lied. And I'm like, the fact that we believed him, I'm kind of confused because he's like a known liar. And so why we believed him, I don't know. But he said, I know nothing about Project 2025.
All right, here we go again with Project 2025. Jasmine Crockett needs new material. She is doing old reruns now, and those hits were never hits. Jasmine Crockett is gaslighting, fear-mongering, and misrepresenting the facts to prop up a failed Democratic agenda, and she knows it. We know it. We smell it, while ignoring the reality of Biden and Harris's failures, which there were plenty, which even more will come out as we start exposing those people that kept the cadaver weekend at Bernie's president appearing like he was alive. She distorts economic concerns, blames billionaires, and labels Trump supporters a cult instead of addressing real issues. And all under the tent of I'm being real and I'm authentic and I'm speaking authentically for the people. Her talking points are designed to distract from Democratic failures and keep Black Americans emotionally invested in a party that hasn't delivered for them. And that's my biggest concern, and that's my beef with her. And to that guy, whatever that guy's name is, you can shout yourself out, who criticized me, that said, why are you picking on Jasmine Crockett? First of all, you don't pick on politicians. You hold them accountable and you question them. And that should go for any politician. But of course, he had to use her race and say, Jasmine Crockett is a Black woman. White men don't criticize Marjorie Taylor Greene, and white men don't criticize Lauren Boebert. And see, he's too dumb to know, bless his heart, that I was formerly a progressive that know a lot of white guys that criticize both of those people. Get goofy. Just because you stay trapped in Democrat doom zone Twitter, X, with a bunch of other Al Sharpton, Jim Clyburn worshiping losers who don't know what time it is and don't know where the new Black media is coming from. I know a lot of white guys who drag and dogpile Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. We ain't talking about them. And Black people don't vote Republican. So I don't waste my time on a party no one votes for. That's people just picking up a check. You understand? Why would I waste my time criticizing a restaurant I never go to and my people don't go to? I'm criticizing the place we spend our money at, goofy. Now, I believe we should be holding Black politicians more accountable, especially ones who trade on our Blackness, who claim to represent us and then get out there and misrepresent us. You're free to kiss her ass. You're free to make a monument to her. Start a GoFundMe and help her buy a new wig. Do what you please. But as for me, I'm going to keep on knocking her down. I'm going to keep calling her out because I think she's misleading my people to stick with a party that hasn't done shit for us. My job is to get us out of the burning house, which is known as the Democratic Party. Your job is to get in the way. Let's see who lasts longer. I've been doing this 13 years now. You only been around for 2 seconds. Perfect. You made it to the end of the video. I appreciate you. Now, Google thinks this next video is going to be perfect for you. It's right up your alley. So click the next video, watch that with me, and let's keep this politics going. You're built for this.